All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to the Spoilercon live stream channel. Right now, we have Rachel here, our live stream artist with her wood burning set. So thank you for joining us. I'm really excited to share with you guys and share Rachel's masterwork with all of you who are watching. Um, I'm Kelsey. I was at the opening ceremonies earlier in case you didn't catch those in time, or Kelsey name speaker on the Discord. As you're watching this, please feel free to ask questions, comment while Rachel's working. We are more than happy to filter your questions through to Rachel, but they will be going through a moderator first. So if they don't get answered or asked right away, don't worry. We will be watching the chat as the live stream goes on. So yeah, I'm mostly going to be staying silent for this entire time that Rachel's working. So Rachel, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, give a bit of what you're going to work on and your process and all of that.
Sounds good. Hey, everybody. As you know, I'm Rachel. I go by Rococo Rachel online. You can find me pretty much everywhere online as that. Um, I live in Georgia. I'm originally from the Midwest, and my background used to be working as special effects artist for film and television. And when I moved to Georgia, I decided to kind of take a break and decide if I actually wanted to continue that with as my career and started fiddling around with other art mediums and kind of came onto wood burning, which it's a weird story how that all happened. But I started, you know, wood burning boxes and I was like, why can't I use my drawing and apply it to that? And my love of fantasy and, sci-fi and everything. So I started testing out some different things and kind of came up with this style that I have now. I kind of self taught myself. There is a lot of wood burning books that you can get, but most of them have to do with like jewelry or nature art or a lot of like crafty things. So I kind of applied my sketching and wood burning together, which is very, very similar. So I'm going to show you a couple different things. Don't mind me. I'm going to switch between two cameras so that way you can see what I'm doing here a little bit better. And if you do have any questions, please holler. I stream on Twitch and I'm used to reading chat and stuff, but with the moderator, it's going to be much easier to kind of go through things and focus a little bit faster since we only have an hour. So let me switch over. Okay. So first off, if you are not used to wood burning and something that you are interested in, these are a couple things that I do recommend trying. Um, Everybody's seen these. This is like the standard learn how to do values board for sketching. I did the same thing when I started doing my nibs. This is on Poplar. And so you can kind of see the difference between the top has got sealer and the bottom doesn't. So I just did what I was, the numbers here is on my machine, how hot I'm actually using the burner. And then putting the sealer on, which you could kind of see the varnish with the gloss. So I recommend doing this. And then I also recommend this. So these are different nibs that I have and different things that you can do with those nibs. And I actually use this as like a background on my website because I think it's super cool. But so I just did a whole bunch of different little textures and all of them, like you can even feel the textures. That's what's cool about wood burning is that if you press in, you actually get a full texture. Um, so you can kind of see a little bit and zoom in a little. There is a lot of wood burning books where they explain how to do this. If anybody is interested, I can get some names for you. But this is one that we're going to be dealing with on the project that we're going to work on tonight. It will have this little guy in there. So I'm going to show you another suggestion of how I work. So this is tone tan paper, and this has coal erase. It's kind of like a colored pencil, but a little bit harder. Uh, this is all wrapped up, so it's super shiny, but this also has some gouache and some white pencil. So I do a series of what I call bling bugs. They're like fancy bugs that I kind of just make up. I like Art Nuevos, like art style, Rococo, all kinds of like fancy detailed stuff. So I started doing this, and just to test it out, because woodburning takes so long to do, which you'll kind of see how slow I actually have to go. But I started out with drawing them to see if I actually liked the idea of doing this series and how long it takes. So I have a whole series of these. They're on my website too. So you can see the range. I think I have like 4 or 5 of them. And then this is the wood version. So I took the same design and then transferred it to the wood. And it's pretty similar. I like working on the tone tan because it kind of gives me the same idea of what it may look like without the wood grain. So this is a piece that I am finishing up right now. I just have to varnish it and sign it, of course. And then another cool thing that I like to do is a lot of my pieces, I'm not a super giant fan of frames. They're so expensive. And since I already work on wood panels, I get things that are much thicker, about 2 inches. And I actually wood burn the sides. So that way it kind of gives you the same feel of it being a frame. So this way you don't have to spend the extra money getting a frame. I will put a hanger on the back and it can go directly onto the wall. And that is I only do this on my originals. I don't do this for the prints on wood because it's like a special thing. So then the piece that I'm working on now. Oh, actually, let me show you this. Also, I print. So it took quite a while to get used to how to get a good color for prints. I had such a big issue making prints because it's very difficult to pinpoint the wood tone. So I ordered a lot of prints that were terrible and ended up throwing them away and used, terrible amounts of money until I bought my own so I could color correct it myself. But even with the monitor, it's kind of hard to tell. But I print them all myself and I hand embellish them, which sadly you can kind of see my spotlight above me, but I do metallics because I was trying to figure out how I could actually do this similar to how normal people print their prints, even though I'm printing or I'm doing wood burning. So I scan the final image instead of taking a photo, and then I do the print. So what I'm working on today is this guy. So this is how my pieces normally start. I do a sketch on Procreate, and then I print it out. This is mirror image, which is amazing if you're making butterflies or anything like that, because I only have to draw one side. So this is mirror imaged, and I'm working on this dagger. And this is it transferred to the wood piece. So I started wood burning some of the outline. And then what I do is I take this piece here, measure it so it makes sure that the bottoms and the sides are all centered. And then I take carbon paper and transfer the design onto the wood piece. And then I erase it slightly because sometimes it gets too much of a buildup for the wood burner. So I erase it back a little bit, and then I outline so that way I can preserve those lines. So I have been wanting to make a series of like fancy daggers for a while. So this I sketched up and we're gonna wood burn today. So I actually like to start with doing all of the line work first, just because it kind of uniforms the piece a little bit and helps me gauge like how dark I want to take the piece. Um, so I work with a co-wood detailer, which is this fancy machine here. Basically, it's very similar to your craft burners that you can get at Hobby Lobby, Michaels, depending on where you live. But a lot of craft stores carry Walnut Hollow is the name of it. It has a thicker handle. They did recently come out one that has interchangeable nibs, and this is what I started with that, and then it is much thicker than a pencil, which this is much easier because it's so similar to how I would use a regular pencil to sketch. Um, I tried that out for a little while. I loved wood burning. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and purchase a a really good burner. So this guy here cost me about $130, I think, with a case, like a plastic case. It had multiple nibs, which I'll show you actually that. So these guys, they come like this, and the end pops off, and you replace like whichever nib you want. They have like, this is a little shader nib. They have bigger shaders. This is the one that I'm working with right now is a ball tool, which is my favorite. Pretty much everything that I do has this shader nib and this ball tool. I have so many different nibs, and unfortunately, I don't really use them all. They're fun to try, but you get so used to a pencil that you like being able to just draw normally. Like I can get down to a mechanical pencil size with one of those nibs. They call it the needle. But I have some that do fish scales and things like that. The nibs themselves run anywhere between 8 to like $17 if you get specialty ones. And I believe this is all a US based store. I think they run out of New Jersey, so I get it really quick. But some of my stores here, like the woodworking stores, carry the this brand, as well as there's one called the Razor, which is pretty much identical to this. And the only main difference is that this is cork and theirs uses foam. I don't really care for the foam because I've seen a lot of people who use the foam where you get such high heat. So like this right now is normal low temperature heat. And I'm going to turn it all the way up so you can see what it looks like. Yeah. It's crazy how hot this thing gets. Unfortunately, I have burned myself. I with my other machine, not so much with this machine. Let me cool this off some.
There were a couple questions, Rachel, or I guess
Sure.
there were some comments maybe about the smell. Does it smell like a campfire?
It
Does it
does.
smell?
That is weirdly enough my favorite part.
I bet. I just seeing how hot the nib gets.
Yes.
Like, my goodness.
Yes, it actually like will make smoke. So if you get higher temperatures, it's better to wear a mask so that way you're not breathing in, directly smoke or using a fan. The big thing about the fan is if you're trying to regulate your temperature, the fan will like kind of cool the nib down. So I just tend to, when I do like my backgrounds, where some of them you'll see like in my moon pieces, it is completely black. I burn that. That's not paint. And it takes a couple different layers of getting it that dark. And I wear a mask during that time, like one of those big chemical vented ones that have this like the canisters on the side, because some wood is toxic, including like this. Technically, if I want to burn a hole in this, is toxic. This is plywood that they put on the side, which you can see the side here. This is layered plywood. And so you see this lighter section. Once it gets to the darker section, that's two pieces where it's glued together. So if you burn past this light section, you're actually burning into glue. And glue does not smell good when you burn it. So I would not recommend that. But there are certain woods that are toxic. I usually burn just on like birch plywood, which is what this is. Poplar is really nice. You can burn on that. It's not hazardous. I'd stick to the normal ones. Pine is okay. You can get a lot of like pine pieces. So like this is, I use this to kind of test the temperature before I actually burn on here. And this has a lot of sap in it. So if you get too high in here, it actually gets like syrupy, and then it doesn't want to burn correctly. So I don't like working on this. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm just going to pop in and say a question from Rob here. He says, we have a couple glow forges now. Have you done wood burning digitally before, or do you love the craft aspect of manual?
I have not done it. I would really like to, because a lot of my pieces do start out as like a drawing digitally, just because it saves me some time and it's easier to erase. But I have looked into it because I want to, spoiler, because only certain people actually know about it, but I want to do, instead of enamel pins, I want to do wood pins. And I've been looking into the Glowforge situation of if I want to purchase my own. I know there's a Michael's by me that actually you can rent one. So I want to test it out to see if that's something that would be interesting for me. I think it'd be really cool, but I would probably limit it to either limited edition, like special pieces that are just with that. But I like the creating aspect of it. The whole process of the smell reminds me of like growing up, because my whole family is big outdoors people, and it just brings back memories, and it's relaxing and meditative for me. So I don't think I would make everything strictly through a Glowforge. But I mean, people's people's styles change every day, so who knows? So I think it would be cool. Did you happen to have another one?
This one's from me actually.
Yeah.
What made you choose this form of artwork over others, and what others have you tried that you wanted to like get more into, but you just always came back to wood burning?
I've been wood burning for about 6 years at this point. And I tried it when I was younger, like in junior high. I still have the piece that is like unfinished, that I tried. And I thought it was so cool, but I never really got into it. So when I moved here to Georgia, that was one of the first things that kind of popped into my head of, oh, this could be really fun just to, mess around with while I figure out what I want to do here. And it just kind of stuck. I tried other mediums. I've tried watercolor, which I do pair other mediums with this. So I pair watercolor a lot with this. I use a watercolor ground to cover the wood. So if water seeps into the grain, it actually will just run parallel and like weird stripe things across. Um, so I cover it with a watercolor ground, and it stops that. But I have so many heavy body acrylics that I really wish I liked using acrylics because I spent so much money getting all of these fancy tubes that I just don't use. I thought I would really like it because I was scared of doing anything with oil, and I tried acrylics multiple different ways and I just hated it. um Now granted, I do use certain acrylics on this. I use let me grab it. This is mainly what I use. So this is just a golden high flow acrylic. You can use it with like an airbrush. It's really liquidy, which you could probably hear. It's like turning into an ASMR stream, but um, so I use this a lot because, in my opinion, once you've wood burned, it doesn't get high enough in the whites for like a normal white paper. So if you're sketching with graphite, you use the white paper as your highlight. Well, on this is still to me like a medium high um, highlight tone. And sometimes you just need an extra pop of white. So I use acrylic for that. Sometimes I use gouache. I also use, if I don't want to wetten or cover this with um, the watercolor ground, I just use this so I can visually. This is just a white General's um, white charcoal pencil. Um, that way I can kind of like in my brain say, oh, I want to put a highlight here with the acrylic later. Because as soon as I start painting with the acrylic, I need to layer like uh, GAC 100 or a matte medium or whatever down. And then I can't wood burn after that because it's toxic to burn through. So I actually will make a visualization for myself of I want the highlight to go here. And it's really hard to burn over this. So I use this for very last because I can't go up to shading because it kind of messes up like the texture of the wood. But I did try oil. I want to try oil again because my drawing capabilities is different than the last time that I tried it. And I think I would probably be a lot better with it than I was from then and probably like it a lot more. But I tried doing a lot of color with the wood burning and it could not make it work. At least couldn't make it work the way that I wanted to. So I've just limited what colors that I use. I use a lot of gold, gold leaf, gold paint, metallics like the mica, pearlescent stuff. Yeah, I want to try my next thing with all of COVID stuff going on. It kind of gives me some playroom. I want to do some experiments of doing some ink on the panels with the wood burning and see how that kind of goes. Um,
Yeah, that
so
sounds
that's next
beautiful.
up. Yeah, I think it'll be really cool. I have I don't know if everybody like kind of knows art people, but I love following Instagram artists, but um there's a guy who I've been a super fan of called NC Winters, and I have like one of his limited edition prints all like fancy framed up. I was super excited when I got it. But he does a lot of FW inks, and I really want to give those a shot and see if I can do a similar style and mix my style with it. And that's what I think I'm going to spend some of my quarantine time on. Maybe not so much this month because I'm getting married on the Halloween. So
Oh,
I
congratulations.
thank you. So this month has been insane.
Yeah.
already. Well, the last few months, but
we do have a question from Seth in the YouTube chat. We have 55 people watching right now. This is awesome.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Seth's asking, is it tempting to go too hot and to go faster?
Yes. I've gotten a little bit faster. It is very slow because you can't erase. So if you screw up, you have to basically sand this whole section down, and then you've lost, the spots that you've already pre-done. I have found that this little guy works. It's kind of hard to see, but this is a Perfection 7058B. Without the B, you don't get this like fancy little brush at the end, but this is an eraser pencil. It's too hard to use on paper, but on wood, it's like a tiny sandpaper. So I just sharpen this like in a normal pencil sharpener, and I'm able to get into like really tiny spots. But that's why I like to pre-draw everything, so that way there's less mess ups. But yes, it is a slow medium, unfortunately. But at the same time, so is oil to an extent, unless you're doing alla prima, but doing this, it's like doing your underpainting, and then you're doing all your detail work on top. So it is slow, but to me, I kind of get used to it. I'm used to it now because I just zone out, and sometimes I come back and I'm like, oh, I got this whole section done. I didn't even really realize. It's like meditating. It's so strange. But hot wise, that was something that it took a long time for me to get a grip on, because for this, you can, if you don't pay attention to how hot you are working, you can burn like a hole through this thing, and you would have to completely take this down with a hand sander before you're able to kind of get back to a level playing field. Because if you burn a hole into a section and you press too hard and you try to go over that with one of the shading nibs, it's almost like it makes like a relief. So you can't really get an even burn on that section because now you've made like an indent. So it took a long time to get used to, including getting used to a different cord. So I burn on bone as well. Actually, do I have one of those? Yes, let me grab that. I just started burning on bone, and that I had to get a new cord for. Let me grab that so you can see.
While you're grabbing that, I do have another question coming in. Hold on a second. I wonder if she stepped away and she can't hear me. One sec, guys.
Okay. So this was my first attempt. I'd never burned on it before. So this is a beaver skull, and it has acrylic paint as well as burning with the same tool that I'm burning on now. I just have to do it like at 10, where it's like glowing red. That's the only way that I can actually get this to burn. I started doing jewelry pieces that way. And then this is my most recent one. So this is I believe this is the raccoon.
So we do have another question coming in, and it pertains to everything you're showing us.
Oh, sure.
How much do you sell your stuff for, and how are you not filthy rich yet? But yeah, basically,
what's kind of like
filthy rich? What's the starting point for your pieces? And yeah,
usually anywhere between, like, I believe I have some around 100 and up. So it depends on the piece. I do jewelry as well. On my website, I've got it all broken down to where you can see jewelry section, home decor, prints and everything. But around anywhere between, I do have some hands, which I'm sold out right now because I have to raise price on those because they sell instantly. But like those artist anatomical hands, I burn like tattoos on those. And I'll sell those at shows. But those go very quickly. The bones are new, and those are anywhere between, I have small ones that I sell for like $40 that are like tiny, like little badgers, all the way up to like $500-600. And that
That's fantastic.
depends.
Everyone's like
Yeah.
really stoked on like, how do I purchase these things that you're showing me? I am bamboozled.
I have a website. My website is RococoRachel.com, or Rachel Rickenberg, which nobody can ever spell my last name. So Rococo Rachel is like, it has a little shop section on there. And that's currently the only place online that I'm selling from. I used to sell from Etsy, but I closed that down and made my own personal one. But yeah, so I do shows as well. I'm always at Jordan Con. I got accepted to Dragon Con this year for the first time. And sadly, the world is on fire and I wasn't able to go to that. But I will be there next year because my table rolled over. And I'm also trying to get into like oddities and curiosity shows because I really love like bug things. I own so many taxidermy insects. And so I have a lot of like insects and butterflies and things like that, um, that I think would go over well at like oddities and curiosity shows. But yeah, I as soon as everything gets set up with conventions, I keep everybody in the loop on Patreon, which is still pretty new. And I'm have an events page on my website too, which currently doesn't really have a whole lot of anything on it right now either, because I don't have any shows. I don't currently have any shows lined up, other than Multiverse, which is next weekend. If anybody is interested in Multiverse, they're doing a virtual show too. But yeah, this year unfortunately was supposed to be my big year of going to a bunch of conventions and all of them got canceled. So I'm just, even though I've been burning for 6 years, I've just kind of been thinking of it more of like a student and going to a couple shows a year as I built up what style I wanted. And now I kind of know what direction I want to go in. And I started adding more shows per year now. So, but
That's awesome. I know with the state of the world, hasn't been easy for anybody to go anywhere.
yeah.
I did throw your link as well for everybody who
Oh,
is,
thank you.
yeah, for everybody who's watching right now in the Discord. If you go to the special guest links channel, just scroll up. All of Rachel's information is on there as well. But yeah, at the end of the live stream here today, we'll make sure that you plug your website and if you have a Discord or anything, we'll make sure we go over that too at the end.
Yeah, I do have a Discord because I stream on Twitch. Currently I haven't been because wedding stuff, but I normally stream on Twitch and I have a Discord for that, which is still very small. It's very hard. Twitch is hard if you don't have a built-in base to bring to Twitch because you're so far down on the list if you only have a couple people viewing. So I'm still working on building that up, but I love live streaming. And it's really fun to me because a lot of people know wood burning more in the sense of nature art, or my grandpa used to do that. So I like being able to show that you can do more than what you think you can do with wood burning. So there's a few people who are on Twitch who do wood burning. Not a whole lot, but the community is very small. But it's been growing pretty, like a couple of my friends have been doing really well on there and growing their base on Twitch because people are just see it and don't realize that that's what it is and is so amazed. But it's one of those mediums that I can just relax to. And, if you're having a bad day, I put on music or audiobook and just chill. And it doesn't feel like work. I think that's the most important part too, is that it just doesn't feel like I'm working real hard. Yeah, if anybody has any questions about anything, let me know. I'm all for sharing the knowledge. I want to make videos. There's only a couple actual YouTubers who do biography. So I'd like to make some like starter videos and stuff of introducing people into it and kind of my style and speed paint. I mean, because obviously it takes forever.
Do you find ever when you're working kind of like this and chatting with an audience and also wood burning, do you find you get distracted and maybe like draw a line you didn't mean to or shade how you didn't mean to? Because I find I would just kind of zone out and then maybe accidentally do something I wasn't supposed to while I was trying to talk.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, I have before. I think I've gotten so used to it now that it just kind of feels like second nature. Like it's easier because before, I think some of it comes from my background in film that I am so used to talking and working, doing special effects or makeup or whatever. And it's like so easy to transition over to this because it's pretty much using the same, side of the brain. And it just, I don't know, the hardest part I find is trying to make conversation when there's not anybody talking, like there's the chat room is quiet or um you don't have that many people in the stream and you have to continuously talk because people jump in and out constantly and you have to grab somebody's attention in like a few seconds. So if it's just dead air, then you can be potentially losing a viewer. That part is harder. I'm also chatty, so that kind of helps some. But you kind of learn. And I've done demos, for other shows. Plus, I've done demos for special effects stuff. So it's a little bit easier after you kind of, take the training wheels off some. But because you have other live streamers doing art, right?
Yeah, we do. Sorry for the delay there.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, we have Corey Lansdell with Third Age Art coming in tomorrow afternoon, evening, and he works. I think his medium is mostly digital, so he's a digital artist,
Gotcha.
and yeah, he's done a lot of Wheel of Time fan art and Lord of the Rings, and he's got like a couple of the prints in our silent auction as well. So yeah, that should be a fun time too. And everyone, I've seen so many people commenting as well in the Discord about how fantastic your wood burning piece is in the silent auction. So thank you again for that because it's been blowing everybody's minds and I'm so stoked that it's there.
That guy, he took so long. I'd never drawn a reptile before. So I really wanted to do like a sorry, that's my dog like shaking her collar. I really wanted to do a dragon, and I had never done scales. So I was really nervous about trying it, and it took so long because I was trying to figure it out as I sketched. And unfortunately, that piece, it was just a random, like, I want to draw a dragon. And instead of pre-sketching it, I sketched it directly onto the wood piece. So I had to make a lot of decisions of things that I probably would have changed differently if I had sketched it out. But I don't know. He's still one of my favorite pieces. I worked on him last year, and he does really well, like at shows. The other thing is too, if you had looked at the website at all, there's another piece that has like this big tower with mountains, and the Easter egg is, if you take a look at it, down in the sand on the bottom is actually a dragon skull, and that those two pieces technically go together. I want to write up like a little blurb story thing to kind of put in my pieces, but especially for that one, because some people kind of see it, but then they don't realize that I made the conscious decision to tie the two together. But sometimes these things just kind of like the initial idea comes out, but then as you work on it, you just kind of daydream about it and they become like alive themselves, in my opinion. I hope that doesn't sound so hooky, but like I think about stuff as I'm working on it, um, and like what things would be used for, or certain decisions, like why, like where would this exist, and but yeah, I think the other big popular piece, it's actually probably my most popular piece, is the Sword in the Stone piece. I love that one. That one got snatched up very quickly at JordanCon. That was the first piece to sell. But yeah, it's really interesting too, going to different shows and seeing from one show to the next what appeals to people, and especially in different states. It's so very strange. It's so very, I find it very fascinating. Because one things that are like really big sellers at this show, no one would touch at another show. It's so weird.
So what kind of items do you find change throughout the country depending on where you are?
Um, a lot of the bug pieces, and some of the jewelry necklaces that I sell, I have um I have like moons and flowers and stuff like that, where for the longest time the moon, like the little crescent moon, was a huge favorite down here. I went to Illinois and to Tennessee, not a single one did I sell, which is so strange. They did the flowers and stuff, but not so much like the, like the sci-fi things. But I don't know. And same thing with like the butterflies and stuff do really well up there. So I guess it's more naturey stuff that, the Midwest kind of gravitate towards. But it also changes from what kind of show and what kind of audience the show has. So if you're doing in fantasy, then you're getting a lot of people who are more into fantasy. Where if you're doing just a normal craft artisan festival, then more jewelry stuff sells. So that's kind of, when I first started doing wood burning, I was using the jewelry as like my part-time job in a way. And that was funding me to go to bigger conventions and table at bigger conventions, because a lot of the times the larger conventions, like Dragon Con and stuff like that, the table fees are much more expensive than doing a outdoor craft festival. So I was trying to use that as I would take my normal day and I would split it into two. And the first half of the day I would do jewelry, and then the last half of the day I would be doing all of my fine art stuff. And it worked out really well. Now I'm getting to the part where the jewelry stuff is probably going to be lessening, and as well as doing the craft outdoor shows and focusing more on this type of stuff, because this is what I really want to do and what I would prefer to be focusing my time on. And I love doing the craft side. The pendants will always stay because I enjoy them and it's a good like breather for me. But I also sell earrings and stuff which are not on the website because I have a zillion designs. If you are interested in wood burned earrings, just send me an email. And I can get you some pictures. But I normally only take my earrings to artisan shows. And that is probably what will lessen, because when you go to a like a convention, a lot of the times you get a 6-foot table. Well, I fill a 10 by 10 booth, and with like half of it's crafts and half of it is my fine art stuff. And it's getting to the point now where they are equaling each other out. And so since it's happening that way, I'm just going to use the small pendants and then use more of my space for this type of work.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
We have just over 10 minutes left here of the live
Oh,
stream.
goodness. That went pretty fast.
Oh, I know. I could watch you work for hours. I'm getting distracted by both the chat and the art you're doing. So we do have, it's 7:40 or 6:47 right now.
Switch nibs then, and then I'll show you the shading.
Sure. I just wanted to pop in and say if anybody in the chat has some last minute questions that they want answered, just chuck them in and we'll try and get to them before we sign off here. And then at the end of the live stream, Rachel's going to share more of her ways of getting in touch with her. But I have a question kind of before I go quiet again. Do you have any major pieces that, besides the Dagger series, any major pieces you're working up towards doing, or
So this is a sneak peek. Only Patreon people have seen this so far. I am working on, I will show you because I actually do have it next to me. It's quite large. I am working on a phoenix right now. And I am working on, let me zoom out some. I'm working on a phoenix rising like from the ashes kind of thing. So this is, I believe this is birch. So I crispied one side, and I want to do a series where this kind of comes into play. I have another dragon piece where this is going to come into play too. So this is what I'm finishing up right now. I have some more to do like in this little section here, as well as the highlights and like the paint and stuff. But I have to finish all of the wood burning first before I can do that. But it's going to have gold and shimmery stuff and all of that. And this has the live edge on it. It's kind of hard to see in here.
Everyone is losing their minds in the YouTube chat right now. They love it. Thank you for sharing that.
But yeah, I love this. It came out, I have never really drawn feathers before either. And so this was like my first attempt burning them. And they feel so fuzzy to me. I was really excited with how this one's turning out. So yeah, I'm gonna have a dragon piece with this as well. That's coming as soon as this one's done. That was supposed to be like one of my big release. Like I want to when I go to a show, like art gallery show at because so like Jordan Con and Contamination and stuff like that, there is not just a tabling for vendors, but an art show. And I want to have a statement piece at each one of those shows. And that was supposed to be my statement piece for Dragon Con. So I didn't hurry up and finish it because it was just the virtual. So, and we just had shops. There was no like actual art, like panels or anything. But so yeah, but I'm excited about that series because I think it's gonna be really cool. Especially the dragon one, I'm really excited about. So this is a little shader. It has, you can kind of see, it's really small. I don't know if you can catch the smoke, but I'm going to turn it down some so I don't burn. The shader actually takes less heat because it's thinner metal. So this guy here will do a little section in here so you can see. You have to do really light touches with the shader. This is where I start getting the 3D kind of thing happening. Let me zoom in. So one of my next dagger pieces, I want to do a Damascus blade. I think the texture of that is going to be really fun to burn. But this guy, while I was sketching him out, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I think I want to do you see this wavy texture here, which is kind of similar to Damascus. I'm going to use this as my background. So basically, I'm going to follow the dark spots, use that as my shadow, and then the highlight is going to be my, like the whiter spot is going to be the highlight of it. So it's going to be kind of like a cool wavy background. I'm really excited to try it. I've not done it before. But there's also, I don't know if you can kind of see, there's like little circles in here. If you see my moon pieces, I leave a highlight, so I burn around it really lightly and then leave the center as a bright white. And then I hit it with a little dot of acrylic and it kind of glows. So I want to have like these magic-y bits kind of spread out. Like this is kind of, you can tell that it's a magical dagger. Let's see, do another, a little shadow in here. I'm gonna turn this down some. You just kind of get used to what the temperature is gonna do. It's been a little bit more difficult getting used to it from my other cord since this actually conducts a lot more heat. So I had to adjust like what my normal temperature gauge is. And all of this gets like kind of tidied up and stuff. But it's just a little bit at a time. And the highlight really, in my opinion, is what ties things together. Because right now, what I would do is like right in here, I would pop a highlight. And so it just makes it especially really metallic. If you have like a harsh light there, then you can tell that the light is really reflective on it. Did you have any more last minute questions?
We have, yeah, about 5 minutes left here. So people are asking, will this be part of the auction? When is it up for sale? Basically, they just want to buy this piece immediately and all of your pieces that you've shown. So,
if anybody is interested, I don't have a current like price point yet because that kind of depends on how long it takes to burn. But if you are interested in keeping tabs on it, you can. I have Patreon, and they kind of get first dibs at certain things. But also, you can DM me through, or have my website has a contact me email, and I can put a newsletter kind of list together. For I have a mailing list that I'm working on, and I want to have that updated for when new pieces and series come out. So signing up for my newsletter on my website is a really good way to keep in tabs of for free. Patreon gets like behind the scenes things. I'm still getting my legs on Patreon, which I'm, Ariel, if you're watching. But yeah, hit me up there. Also, like,
is your
Instagram.
Patreon on your website as well?
It should be under the links.
Okay.
Like, there should be a links tab.
Perfect.
I think my Twitch is on there too. So if you do like watching art streams, I highly recommend hanging out on Twitch. I've learned so much about art, but I have a Twitch channel on there under the same name. Also, my website has the link page that'll take you to like everywhere that I am online. YouTube, I'm still kind of learning, so there isn't anything really on there right now.
Yeah, we have you check out for yourself as well, just to make sure that I plugged everything in correctly too. But
oh, sure.
Under the special guest links channel in Discord, we have
yeah.
all of your information, your YouTube, your Twitch, your Insta, website, and Facebook. Cool. So yeah, I hope if people who are listening are in the Discord, they can go to the special guest links. I know Delusions has also posted a bunch of your links in the YouTube chat as well. But I've also found you really easily on Google in case anybody needs to just be like, I need a Rachel woodburning fix now. Google Rachel Reichenberg and you'll get it.
Yeah, you'll see me there. I'm kind of everywhere. So, and I'm super chill to talk to. So if anybody has any questions, or if you're even interested in wood burning, I have like some great info for you. So yeah, I think we probably have time for one more question.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything else that they want to ask Rachel before we sign off here and then get ready for the next event?
Yeah.
I know there is a bit of a delay between our chat and the YouTube, so it might take a minute or two.
Twitch is like that too.
Yeah, if you want, maybe message me the Discord that you have as well, then I'll check that under the special guest links information for you.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah, that's another good way to get a hold of me too. If anybody has any questions, I have things broken up in there. There's a couple of people that chat, but yeah, if anybody is interested in this piece, I don't have it currently up on the website as like a pre-order or anything. Just message me either through my email on the website. You can even find me in the Discord, like DM me through the Spoilercon Discord too. That's fine.
We do have one last question that I'll take because this is also really interesting to me too. Seth is asking, have you ever tried burning any of the conifer pieces? Ogier is asking this one. Any of the conifer pieces that have a lot of resin ducts? And if so, what was the result?
I haven't. I do know that I believe burning on cedar is toxic, so you have to wear a mask. But I try to stay away from things that do have a lot of sap in them, just because once the sap kind of leaks out, it gets everything like gooey. And when it gets gooey like that, like you can't go in and burn you basically burn the sap until you completely charcoal burn it, and then you can flake it off. So it's hard to work with. I've kind of got used to it because I started using pine, but I try to stick more with doing lighter colored woods like poplar and birch. Birch is my favorite, but yeah, I mean you can, but it's rough to work on. You can't get super detailed things like this.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess one last question, actually,
Yeah.
one last question here. And we have Seth asking, have you ever thought about wood burning a whole table? And for
I
me,
have.
would you commission something like that? Or is that like something you want to do eventually for you? Or
I would like to do one. I haven't before. Um, I wanted to try doing like one of those like round coffee table thing, like a side table. But I always see people post pictures of them and like I really want to do that. But it is like a big time commitment. But yeah, I'm always up for doing something like that. I've wood burned like D&D like DM boards and stuff like that. So I'm always up for trying anything.
well, thank you so much. We
No
are
problem.
unfortunately at the end of our hour, but that was lovely. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming on.
I wish I had, more time to do more on this, but I will stream it on Twitch. So if anybody is interested in continuing to watch how this kind of comes about, head to Twitch and like the page, and it also will send you a notification when I go live. And this will probably be the first thing that I end up working on there. So probably not tonight, but in maybe next week we'll start burning on this again. So yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so
thank
much,
you guys
Rachel.
so much. I will see
Next,
you all on Discord.
oh, awesome. Yeah, we'll catch you in the Discord right away. Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Um,
guys.
all right. Next up, guys, in about half an hour, we have the Content Creator Trivia Showdown. So